So here's something interesting. More than 1,200 exhibitors from 26 African countries and over 1,100 buyers from 55 countries are attending this year's Africa Travel Indaba, held in the beautiful city of eThekwini. The tourism industry, at almost R500 billion, is well and truly a strong economic sector in South Africa, as it contributes 6% to South Africa's GDP every single year. Now, I've been to previous Indabas, but this year's one feels different. It feels more African and more SADC connected. So maybe let me explain what happens here at Indaba before I get going. Indaba is basically where tourism buyers, sellers and operators come to meet. The people walking about here are attending workshops, networking, engaging in discussions, and some are even striking deals. In 2019, total contributions of travel and tourism to GDP in South Africa stood at 7.8% of the total economy, about 513 billion rand or $31 billion. That very same year, the total contribution of travel and tourism to employment stood at 1.51 million jobs, around 9.2% of total jobs. And just last year, post-COVID, the stats are showing signs of recovery. 6.8% of the total economy now comes from travel and tourism, around 458.9 billion rand or around $28 billion. And tourism into South Africa now employs 1.38 million people. This is around 8.7% of total jobs. This number is, however, still lower, or 8.3% lower than before COVID, but forecasts look great by 2030. Tourism will contribute 8.4% of the total economy. This is according to projections that will equal 729 billion rand or around $38 billion every single year in today's money. We're looking to grow by 23.6% in the next 6 years. Also, the number of people that will be employed by tourism is set to grow to 1.71 million people, which will constitute 9.8% of total jobs in the country, around 10%. The total number of arrivals to South Africa reached 8.48 million in 2023, marking a significant 48.9% increase from the figures from 2022. However, the arrival figures remain 17% below 2019 levels, which stood at 10.2 million visitors. The African land market emerged as a top-performing region for South Africa. A lot more of our African brothers are coming to South Africa than any other region, with 6.2 million arrivals coming from our continental neighbors. And this constitutes an impressive 52% growth from the previous year. Europeans love South Africa, and this is proven by 1.2 million arrivals from Europe, with a 38.2% improvement from 2022. The Americas contributed 456,000 arrivals into South Africa, representing an improvement of 39.8%. During 2023, Zimbabwe recorded the highest number of arrivals into South Africa, 2.1 million people. This was trailed by Mozambique with 1.3 million arrivals, and Lesotho with 1.1 million arrivals into South Africa. The UK claimed the top spot amongst the leading overseas markets, followed by the USA and Germany. The UK claimed the top spot at the end of 2023 after a very strong competition from the USA market throughout the year. As the powerhouse of South Africa, Gauteng is tapping into tourism to boost its offerings in the hospitality sector. Now, I got an opportunity to speak to the Chief Marketing Officer of GTA, the Gauteng Tourism Authority, and he had a few things to say about how GP is being marketed as a destination.
A very important sector, not a sector of umnandi or a sector in J for when people are having some disposable income, a critical economic driver, a catalyst. Tourism has everything to do with transport. Tourism has everything to do with food security. Tourism has everything to do with safety and security. Tourism has everything to do with logistics. So tourism has everything to do with manufacturing. Tourism becomes the glue that binds everything together.
The focus areas that Gauteng is zoning in on for growth: sports, music and events tourism form the core, but also safety and security is important. The numbers for tourism in Gauteng speak for themselves. MEC for Economic Development, Tasneem Mutara, earlier this year confirmed that Gauteng has recorded 30 billion rand in foreign direct tourism spend from its financial year target of 13 billion. That's a massive hit over the target, which is great news.
As Gauteng, for example, in the same financial year, bring in 30 billion rand into the economy of Gauteng just from international arrival revenue. From the domestic side, we have generated 12 billion rand into the economy through domestic travels. That's the number of trips that has been undertaken. So if you aggregate all of those, that gives you close to 40 billion rand injection into Gauteng. We remain the highest destination in terms of international arrivals.
On international tourist arrivals, the Golden Province of Gauteng, their performance achieved was 2.6 million arrivals in 2023, surpassing its financial year target of 1.6 million travelers. From a domestic trips perspective, Gauteng is also showing strong signs of recovery, with 5.6 million domestic trips recorded. Now, when it comes to sports, Gauteng is a champ, and also they're fighting hard to cash in on this wave. Taking, for instance, the inaugural season of the Betway's SA20 cricket tournament. This was hosted in 6 venues across the country, with Gauteng being the only region with 2 stadia. They rekindled an enthusiasm for domestic cricket in a big way, and this injected over 1.4 billion rand into the South African economy, 4.1 billion rand into the GDP, and created 8,233 annualized job opportunities and 958 million rand to household income. A significant portion of these benefits to the country were accrued in Gauteng, making it a key hub for global sports and entertainment. I also got the opportunity to ask about the issues surrounding crime and grime in Gauteng.
We are tackling it head on. We are firstly not in denial that it is happening. We are firstly involving communities in first appreciating the value of tourism. That if you are at Vilakazi Street and you are a tourist and somebody snatches your bag, it should be the community that firstly assists the police to apprehend the criminal. Because by snatching that bag, you are denying that Magogo who is selling products there to get a meal on the table to take the child to school. That is why the provincial government, led by Premier Lisufi, unleashed close to 3,000 crime prevention wardens, or affectionately Amapanyaza as they are known. They have now been joined by 2,000 military veterans to support. They are also supported by the Gauteng Traffic Police, the Johannesburg Metro Police, Ekurhuleni Metro Police, Tshwane Metro Police. So we feel we have enough boots on the ground to work with communities in tackling crime. But this is not just crime against tourists, it's crime against residents and crime against visitors. And we are here at Indaba. We have showcased, we are joined by Amapanyaza here, the first of its kind.
Now, massive outdoor concerts and events are also taking over the Joburg and Gauteng landscape, and their impact on tourism is growing exponentially. Currently, Gauteng is set to leverage on big events in a big way in order to ensure that the tourism sector has more things to offer to people coming into the province.
Gauteng is the mecca of lifestyle and entertainment, from magnificent venues, concert venues, and arenas, and many others that we have.
It's estimated that GP is generating between 7 and 10 billion rands just from events in the province. Take, for instance, an event like Delicious Festival. These type of events draw, in essence, around 31,000 people who attend. The Rand Show draws in 45,000 people, and Decorex brings in 59,000 people. The direct and indirect economic impacts of these events cannot be taken lightly as well. Delicious Festival injects 1.9 billion rand into the country's GDP. Rand Show, 3.2 billion rand. Decorex, 1.7 billion rand. Also, the impact on jobs created cannot go unsaid. Delicious creates 2,465 jobs. Rand Show, 309 job opportunities, and Decorex, 327 job opportunities.
So product like Hey Neighbor, which for the first time managed to attract over the 4 days 75,000 people that gathered here.
And now, with a new entrant into the mega eventing space being Hey Neighbor, a lot more opportunities and economic positives are set to flow into GP going forward. Actually, let's talk about Hey Neighbor as a large event. Last year, December, I got the opportunity to watch Kendrick and a bunch of other international and local acts live in Gauteng at the Hey Neighbor Festival. And just to show you how big this event is and its impact on GP, I want us to run some bro math revenue numbers. Official numbers say 75,000 people attended the event's inaugural weekend. And at an assumed average ticket price of 1,600 Rand for the entire weekend, and an assumed on-site spend of 800 Rand per person on food and drinks. The fest, at my best guess, generated 180 million Rand in ticket, food, drinks, and merchandise revenue. This revenue will find its way down to supporting small businesses and suppliers who worked at this event. In fact, the festival is said to have created 3,000 jobs, and it provided a platform for 50 local vendors and suppliers. Just to give you an unconfirmed perspective on how sponsors have also come on board to support music events in Gauteng. The top sponsors are rumored to have paid around 35 to 40 million Rand at Hey Neighbor. Another sponsor forked out 20 million Rand for activation rights and areas that had a pavilion. And one number I overheard for a soft drink sponsor was around 9 million Rand. Just off sponsorships alone, Hey Neighbor brought in, by my guess, 65 million Rand. That's a great thing. That means that sponsors are also seeing the opportunities that events in GP can bring to them.
In 5 years, we're going to be connecting. Gauteng tourism will move beyond the borders of Gauteng because boundaries means nothing for visitors. So we see Gauteng tourism playing a lead city region role in coordinating the adjacent so that the benefits of tourism don't just lie in Soweto, don't just lie in Sandton. They spread to Potchefstroom, to Witbank, and other regional other spaces. So if South Africa is to work, if Africa is to work, Gauteng needs to double and triple up. So this is the positioning we are taking with humility. We are not exaggerating, but to get South Africa and Africa working, Gauteng must double up the efforts, and that's what I see in the next 5 years.
Thank you for watching till the end. I see that you're really interested in travel and tourism, and I hope to see you on the next video. But in the meantime, please check out one of these videos. It might interest you just as much as this one. Cheers.